Hello, dear friends. I have dedicated today all my work to analyze this economic crisis and to find out what would be the remedy and the solution with the new QFS quantum financial system. I'm taking a break from current affairs because it's unbearable how much suffering is taking place in the world. Opinion piece. Inflation is on the rise. Will gold go up or down? The only sure thing is inflation. Money is losing value. The price of everything is rising. Overheating of the economy. This could lead to a recession. Overinvestment in economic funds. Continued increase in economic inequality. Financial reboot will freeze gold prices. Financial restart. The end of the cycle may be closer than expected. Demand for gold will fall as money is backed up. Gold has increased tenfold in value in 15 years, but speculative use of gold could create a bubble. Gold will go back to being commodity and will not be used as money. Inflation is 5.4%, but it is possible that it could be 13%. An expert predicts the new world economic crisis. Quantum financial system would be the solution to these problems. There will be no fanfare or public announcements when the QFS is implemented. Quantum computer is alive and doing its snooping work. Only those in the financial industry will hear about the reboot. When the QFS is implemented, there will be no fees for any financial services. There will be very little reporting to the public that it is fully operational. Banks will lose many revenue streams and become insolvent. There will be a full activation of the QFS when the currency realignment is announced. In the meantime, all redemption announcements are fake to manipulate people. Let's start. Is gold going up or going down? Some say one thing and others say the opposite, which is perfect for confusion. This is the million-dollar question. I am constantly asked, as impossible to answer as the question of when the global financial reset will occur. No one really knows, but we do know one thing for sure, that inflation is rising, which is the rise in the general price level, which translated into street language means that those promissory notes, called central bank bills, are gradually losing value, which is a form of commodity robbery. This creeping inflation is characterized by a slight but persistent rise in the general price level. However, I have just learned that gold will no longer be used as money when we return to having a gold-backed currency in the new financial system. The only thing we know for sure is that regardless of whether gold goes up or down, this precious yellow metal remains a safe value for humankind for thousands of years, since it represents the most evolved and the highest frequency metal that exists in the cosmos, and that it is not only used to make jewelry, but also as medicine in the form of monoatomic gold, and to develop very high technology, since UFOs carry a lot of gold. Gold plays critical roles in communications, spacecraft, jet aircraft engines, and many other products. Its high electrical conductivity and resistance to oxidation have enabled its widespread use as thin layers deposited on the surface of electrical connections to ensure a good low resistance connection. In addition, colloidal gold nanoparticles can prevent the accumulation of heavy metals in the body through renal leakage, according to Wikipedia. Optimism. The most optimistic say that the precious metal is predestined to rise sharply in price in the next few years due to the scarcity in which it is being produced. What is certain is that in 15 years gold has increased its value tenfold, and therefore it would be an ever-rising value in the medium to long term. Gold as a safe haven is clearly superior to other types of investments, such as real estate. In addition, management is fast and efficient today, as investment gold is easily convertible at the current price. Gold is used as a hedge against the dollar, inflation, interest rates, and economic crisis. Gold not only serves as a hedge, but also serves as a safe haven during economic downturns. Some holders of gold store it in the form of bullion or coins for speculative purposes. But a speculative use created a gold bubble that burst on April 16, 2013, which was a historic day when the price of an ounce plummeted 9%, the largest single-day decline in 30 years since 1983. Gold maintains relative purchasing power. It's not related to any other currency, and its tangible nature, as well as its liquidity, make investing in this metal, historically and to this day, the best option against uncertainty and volatility. These are times of great changes, so it is prudent to be conservative and protect yourself. Current update. The official inflation figure in the US, which is the epicenter of the world economy, is 5.4%, but it seems that this figure is made up, because someday it is as high as 13%. How could it not happen in the Federal Reserve if the Federal Reserve have been printing and injecting tons of paper dollars constantly into the stock market as if there were no tomorrow? Things can get more complicated if other ingredients are added to the cocktail, such as a gigantic increase in the fiscal deficit. On the New York Stock Exchange, the S&P 500 Standard & Poor's Index just had its fastest recovery since World War II, while the Federal Reserve is considering ending its debt purchases completely in mid-2022. Despite the optimism, the end of the cycle could be closer than expected, as growth expectations have fallen to 2020 levels, while in Spain public debt set a new record in June and exceeded 122% of GDP. The price of gold will freeze. The price of gold fluctuates constantly, so at a specific point in time, the price of gold would be frozen to support all currencies. It is important that all currencies are at parity with all other currencies, regardless of the country of origin. When this freeze takes place, each kilo of bullion would be assigned a set of backed coin increments. The value of all coins would be frozen as long as the QFS is in place. If the price of gold goes up or down, it will not affect the frozen value of one coin versus another, because the value of all coins will go up or down at the same time. Keep in mind that gold is the only legally valid currency worldwide, the only game in town. The fluctuation of gold prices may come and go as the commodity market dictates for the price of gold, but the market price of gold will not affect the value of each currency. The underlying effect is that inflation or deflation is eliminated and the market price of gold as a commodity rather than backing a country's currency will fluctuate within supply and demand factors, just like any other commodity. The bottom line is that the value of each currency compared to another currency will always be the same and will not fluctuate but will stabilize. This is very important for international trade. This form of gold-backed currency eliminates the concept of the gold standard, which is a step in the right direction, but will yield to the far superior and more secure form involved with gold-backed currency in the QFS. Warning to speculators. Thousands of years of accumulation of gold as an intrinsic value for exchange would disappear, and it would become a commodity to be used for consumption in things like jewelry, gold plating, medallions, etc. With the new system of real money backed by gold, which cannot be manipulated, we would have a stable financial system that works for all of humanity on an international and perhaps even galactic level. Be very careful if you hold gold as a hedge against inflation, because without the gold as money element, the demand for gold will go down and the market price of gold will go back to being a supply and demand factor. A very large group of gold investors will find over time that the high price of gold will be very difficult to sustain as the price of gold continually erodes and their savings decline in value. They will find that the commodity needs to be sold so that their funds can be put on work in other more productive areas of the economy. Without accumulating and holding gold as a hedge against inflation, a major factor in the price of gold will have been eliminated. The artificial demand for gold as money will fall, and so will its market price. Gold will return to being a commodity and will not be used as money as long as God keeps the QFS in place. It is conceivable that the price of gold will fall to where it will cover the cost of its extraction and distribution with small profit built in. Definition. Overheating is a term used economically in extreme cases of the expansionary phase of the economic cycle, which in addition can create risks in a very acute situation of recession. In other words, economic overheating occurs when a productive capacity is not enough to meet the growing demand. It is a situation that can happen to countries as well as to companies. After periods of rapid or accelerated economic growth, overheating can occur, eventually leading to recession. In economic terminology, a country's economy overheats when its productive capacity cannot keep pace with growing aggregate demand. it is generally characterized by growth above the normal trend of economic growth at an unsustainable rate. Periods of accelerated economic growth are generally followed by periods of economic overheating. The cause of overheating is a high level of aggregate demand, usually prolonged over time. If aggregate demand exceeds aggregate supply, then the demand for goods must be offset by overemployment of human resources. This is done by employing workers for overtime or using machinery beyond the recommended working hours. This type of production is unsustainable because overemployment cannot be maintained indefinitely. High demand for goods can also be compensated by increased imports of machinery, goods, and products. In this case, overheating would occur if the transportation and communications infrastructure were saturated and insufficient to allow the arrival of goods and products to the centers of consumption. The goods transportation infrastructure consists of cargo airports, sea and river ports, roads, railroads, pipelines, and energy transportation networks. The communications infrastructure consists of telephone and information networks. Overheating is generally preceded by below average levels of economic growth. Demand pull inflation occurs because suppliers try to capitalize on excess demand that cannot be met due to existing limits on production. High prices and exports tend to reduce aggregate demand as goods become more expensive, leading to a reduction in consumption. Central banks try to tighten monetary policy in response to inflationary pressures by reducing investment spending, which combined with a reduction in consumption could lead to an economic recession. An expert forecasts the next global financial crisis. Analyst Sergei Grishumnin has explained that the current high inflation in the world economy is just a sign of its overheating and that the next global economic crisis would be caused by social factors. In quotes, there are moderate signs of economy overheating. That bad sign indicating overheating is the rise in global inflation, fueled mainly by rising inflation in the US, the analyst warned. In physics, overheating is the phenomenon whereby a liquid is heated to a temperature above its normal boiling point without boiling, and it is the same thing that is happening now at the economic level. According to Labor Department, the annualized rate of price growth remained at a record 5.4% since August 2008. But Grishumnin believes that other factors contributing to this overheating of the world economy are the output gap in most industrialized countries, overinvestment in economic funds due to very low bank interest rates, and the speculative boom in innovation. But more than purely financial factors, an economic crisis is likely to be caused by social factors or corporate governance. The risks are related to the continued increase in social inequality, leading to instability and armed conflicts. Grishumnin concluded. The remedy and the solution. The remedy and the solution to all these problems will be the new quantum financial system, QFS, that has been in place for some time now, and the snooping on all economic movements, but has not yet fully implemented. According to Nigel Maitposs, the quantum financial system is a megalithic financial structure that heaven has given to mankind. It is called megalith because it is the most advanced financial system anyone can imagine. This technology has no equal on Earth today. It is a magnificent system designed to take on the magnitude of accounting needed to balance all the world's financial transactions in real time. The QFS is housed in a large quantum consciousness that is much more than a computer. This quantum consciousness is the divine consciousness that is available for us to use in this third dimension. The tools it brings are all too necessary for us to use in the golden age of humanity. It is a general ledger accounting system made up of individual accounts. The QFS is not the QAS. The QFS 3D that humans built is not the QAS 5D or quantum abundance system given to the galactics by God and brought here for our use according to Logan. If the human coalition on Earth has a quantum computer, it is certain that the dark faction also has one, albeit less advanced, which would explain the relativities they have in debating funds. The 5D QAS will be used for much more than moving money, to clean up the environment, control the weather, remove old structures and replace them, connect us to our twin flames, grow nutritious for everywhere, and much more. QAS is available for our use whenever humanity decides it wants to use it. Security. Another safety feature of the new system is its personal connection with quality control. The connection is direct to the quantum computer and uses no service provider, so there is no way for viruses, worms, or any other destructive junk to be downloaded onto your PC. This junk includes artificial intelligence that could penetrate your computer in search of private information. The quantum computer is a benevolent guardian. Beyond the financial system aspect, this quantum computer has enough storage and capacity to take over all the world's computing functions. It will function as the cloud to house all your applications, files, and photos. All other computer storage devices could become obsolete as the quantum computer becomes the main computer with free applications worldwide for anyone to use. The quantum computer will support us as we move into a fifth dimensional existence. It is in benevolent harmony with the higher realms of creation and stands as a gift from God as the new financial system for the future of humankind, until it is replaced by another superior technology suited to the higher realms. This quantum computer is ready to be integrated into a galactic-wide web system that will facilitate intergalactic commerce. That system will act as a chain of warehouses located in planets containing commodities for exchange, making it a galactic internet for trade using interstellar anti-gravity transporters as service vehicles. This quantum computer begins our entry into the galactic society that turns terrestrials into galactic humans. We will have advanced vehicles that will take us into the age of space travel and intergalactic commerce. Transition from old to new. The famous World Quantum Computer is alive and doing its snooping work, but the QFS accounts with funds are not yet active. The new funds are dormant, with the cold certificates waiting to be activated in an account. The currency reset, where all currencies are reset to a nominal value with all other currencies, must take place just prior to QFS activation. So the global financial reset must first be completed before applying the QFS globally in its entirety. The global financial resets mean exactly that the world has reset its currencies to a completely new gold-backed system of finance for the world. The funds from the currency reset are calculated and deposited into QFS accounts as gold-backed currencies using digital gold certificates. The funds will be deposited in the national currency where the redemption takes place. Please note that this global currency reset means that the world has reset its currencies to a completely new gold-backed finance system for the world. There will be no fanfare or public announcements when the QFS is activated globally. Only insiders who are in the financial industry and some in the intelligence communities, as well as those who will redeem or exchange, will know about it, but there will be very little reporting to the general public that it has been activated and it is fully operational. Banks will go through their own transition as they lose significant revenue streams, become insolvent, and go into receivership. But the coalition wants this to be as smooth as possible. The transition will include white-hat people within the banking system who will continue the functions of a bank with personal access to the QFS so they can serve customers. This will be concurrent with the financial services industry taking over Overheat and paying salaries to maintaining banking services. Obviously, a customer can ask questions about why their account was not charged for a fee or commission, but the teller can simply say, "We don't do that anymore." When the QFS has been activated, there will be no fees for any financial services, no more usury fees or loans, no more theft by bankers, no more delays in transferring funds. It will simply be a simple account-to-account transfer initiated by the parties involved. All transfers are within the QFS initiated by the individual account holder without any requirement for anyone to do it for them. Without the customer being charged any past banking fees, the customer will simply put a smile on their face and walk away wondering how the bank will make money in the future. That will be the question on many customers' minds. It will truly be the end of an era of financial manipulation by bankers to make money on money. QFS is free, secure and ultra-fast. Once again, a new financial services industry will take over the financial needs that banks once did, only it will be free. Requirements. No fiat currency or any other form of currency or cash can be deposited into the QFS without going through an exchange process and having a digital gold certificate assigned to it. Without the gold certificate, the computer will not recognize it as money. The QFS has not been fully implemented yet. Some currencies have been downloaded to the QFS for alliance purposes, but full activation will not occur until the currency reset is complete. There are other conditions that must be met, but to date they have not been met. When they are met, the redemption and exchange of revalued currencies will take place. The talk of payments to payers of any reported money movement would be fiat currencies only and not part of the gold-backed QFS currencies. There will be a full activation of the QFS when the currency realignment is announced and the protocol for the exchange process is published. Until then, all reports of QFS currency movement are the product of someone's mind control. Chinese elders. The 9 Chinese elders have been accumulating gold for hundreds of years. They are rich in gold. Some of their gold was loaned to the central banking system so they could finance the rebuilding of Europe after the many war-torn years since World War First and Second. By the way, they never paid it back, but used it to start their financial empire to enslave mankind. This is the central banking system. Perhaps that is why one of the conditions for using their gold for the QFS is the demise and full disclosure of the old banking system before the currency reset can take place. The Chinese elders have caves of hidden gold and are now using it to gold back the currencies in the QFS for all the countries of the world. It is important to understand that the QFS and the money it is about to release a new currency. It was designed by the Alliance to fund a new financial system that will restore all the world's currency to gold-backed currency. Government leaders from 209 countries of the world signed this agreement to allow this new quantum financial system to be implemented worldwide. An electronic digital gold certificate will be the vehicle used to back the currency. Each kilo of gold stored by the Chinese elders has an identifying serial number. That means that each kilo is identified and can be used to back a certain amount of money. Each coin increase will receive a digital gold certificate. This digital certificate refers to the specific kilo of gold value that has been set aside and identified to back that specific coin increment. The gold certificate process is valid for all currencies, regardless the country of origin. This will be a digital label to indicate the name of the coin to which the certificate pertains. The value of the certificate is always an extension of the kilo of gold value to which it is assigned. This saves us from transporting metallic gold with us. New financial services. Let's talk about the new financial services centers of the future of the new financial services industry. There is a need that the banking system has provided for all society that cannot be eliminated within the new quantum financial system. The financial system is the glue that holds society together as we conduct our commerce with each other. It is essential. As long as money is used to exchange goods and services, it is a service that must continue in some form, hopefully the better. Positioning ourselves to perform this service is critical. Consumers will always need loans for cars, homes, etc. And they may need help learning to use QFS for their own personal financial needs. All of this can be supplied by converting the banking structure into financial service centers, a place where their question can be answered. With the customer's permissions, tellers will have access to their accounts at the QFS and can help them obtain cash, etc., as well as deposit checks from their work at the QFS. We have a lot of work to do to implement this new QFS in society. The QFS is our tool to do the job we came here to do. Our job will be to position ourselves to serve in many capacities we may not have thought of before. The Spirit will help us ask for and receive our divine guidance as we use our funds in service to our brothers and sisters in the family of God. We are here to change the way the world works, not just to help the poor. Blessing to all, and may this be a blessing to all. Thanks a lot, dear friends.